Feast TV is brought to you with support by Missouri Wines and Whole Foods Market at Town & Country and the Galleria. In this episode, we are going to meet some of our region's culinary players, including the guys here at Niche in Clayton, Missouri. Then we're heading off to Weston, Missouri to meet the folks behind Green Dirt Farm. Then it's down to Springfield, and we're going to see the family that invented the iconic dish, cashew chicken. And we're wrapping it up in Kansas City at Torn Label Brewing. I'm Cat Neville, and this is Feast TV. I'm so excited about this episode. We have a lot of great places to take you. And the first one is going to be Green Dirt Farm, which is north of Kansas City by about 40 minutes. They make artisan sheep's milk cheeses that are sold really across the country. And in this episode, I am going to be making a lamb dish with a Thai-inspired sauce and coconut rice that was developed by one of our columnists, Shannon Weber. And the reason we're focused on lamb this month is because the good folks over at Green Dirt Farm also produce lamb for your dining room table. So let's go meet them now.
Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Come on in, I'll show you the milking parlor.
I cannot wait to see it.
So here are the ladies. We're going to walk around the other side so you can see where the business end of things.
So what was it about sheep that what drew you to that?
Well, I actually, growing up, had sheep and loved sheep as a livestock animal. They were my favorite livestock animal. And so that's what immediately drew me to them. And I knew about sheep's milk cheeses, and you know, because of I really loved sheep themselves as a livestock animal, and I love sheep's milk cheeses. That just seemed like a perfect fit. The interesting thing about sheep is that their milk is more concentrated. So their milk is twice as concentrated, so that makes up a little bit for the lower volume.
Fat content.
Higher protein, higher fat, higher minerals. Everything is present in about twice as much concentration as it is present in cow's milk or goat's milk. A lot of our customers and a lot of our guests to the farm who come to our cheese tasting events, a lot of them will say that they have never tasted a sheep's milk cheese, and it's because they don't realize that there are many, many traditional sheep's milk cheeses in the world, and they probably have tasted them, but they didn't know they were sheep's milk cheeses. Like all of the Italian cheeses that start with the word pecorino, those are all sheep's milk cheeses because pecorino in Italian means from the ewe.
Oh. That's incredible. I've never seen a just born.
Take a look inside the make room, and this is actually where the real process of cheese making takes place. And you can see our cheese makers here, hi. Rachel and Amy, and Cooper is our brand new intern. He just started yesterday.
Hi, Cooper. How is it different cheese to cheese? Are you looking for a different level of fat in your different cheeses?
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, we would really like to have our higher fat milk is best used for our bloomy cheeses or our soft ripened cheeses. And our lower fat milk is best for our hard cheeses like our prairie toe. This is our bloomy rind aging room. This is where we age our soft ripened cheeses. And we just have one batch in there right now. This is woolly rind and wee woolly. And they're just, if you look closely, you can just see a little bit of their rind is starting to develop, but mostly they're pretty bald because they're only about 2 days old.
Now, so how is this different from, for example, one of the hard cheeses that you would make? Do they start in exactly the same place?
No, not at all, actually. What the cheesemaker does in the vat determines what the cheese will be like when it comes out into the aging room. This style of cheese is much higher moisture. That is, we want it to hold on to a lot more moisture. That gives it its like soft, creamy texture, and it helps it to develop the ripening around the edge. So it gets this zone of ripening that's like this lovely, gooey, yummy, very floral tasting. At the far other end of the spectrum is our Prairie Tome, which is a very hard cheese. When we make that, we want to get as much moisture out of the milk as possible. So really the cheesemaker's job is about removing water from milk. So, and we employ a lot of different techniques to do that, from choosing the right bacteria, to choosing the right curd size to cut, to choosing how long to allow the coagulum or the renneted milk to set.
Where is the future going for Green Dirt Farm? Like, what is on the horizon for you guys?
We are trying to grow to a point where we can become economically sustainable. If we don't get to that place where we're sustainable from an economic point of view, we're just sort of a flash in the pan, come and gone, and we won't have been able to contribute to those kinds of things that we really value.
You said that you're expanding in this next year.
We're focusing a lot on the wider regional area, the Midwest. So we're actually going up to Omaha and going to Des Moines and going to Wichita, and we're trying to reach out to all of the surrounding communities in St. Louis. So that's the kind of the little incremental reaching out beyond the borders of our local region, so that we can make our local region prosper.
So the first step in our Thai-style lamb dish is going to be to make the rice. And I am using a brown basmati rice. So in this style of rice, you saute the rice before you add in your liquid. And because this is Thai, we're going to be using coconut oil. So I just have this on medium-high, and that coconut oil is just kind of melting down into a nice clear base. And once this is all melted, I'm going to add in 2 cups of the rice. Just adding in about a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to toast up this rice, and once it gets to be a little bit kind of fragrant and nutty, then I'm going to add in the liquids. So can you hear that popping sound? That tells you that we are ready to add the liquids, which are going to be water, of course, and I have 2.5 cups here. And then what makes this rice dish so special and so delicious is coconut milk. We're going to add about a cup. So I've opened this up, and in some cans of coconut milk, all of that kind of like wonderful fatty thick layer will come to the top, and you'll find that the majority of the actual liquid is on the bottom. So you'll want to stir this to incorporate everything. So we have 1 cup of the stirred coconut milk. It'll be lumpy, it does not matter, because everything is going to dissolve as the rice cooks. So the rice will take about 20 minutes or so to cook. You want to keep it on medium-low so it just simmers, otherwise it'll boil over. So while this is simmering, let's go meet the pair behind Torn Label Brewing. It is a brand new craft brewery over in the Kansas City area that has designs on being regional by the summer. So let's go taste some of their beer now.
Bottles and scraping those labels off.
And we love using that name because I think it's also kind of it's a nod to the homebrewing roots of Torn Label, but also kind of a directive for its future. Kind of a reminder of the sort of spirit of experimentation and creativity of homebrewing, even as we scaled up and brewed beers in a much larger system. The birth of Torn Label was kind of a collaborative process, really. You know, I had a partner from my time as a film producer in Los Angeles, and we started talking about what a project that was centered around craft beer might look like. And we had a lot of options, and he kind of gave us free reign, like Chad Troutman and Carol Troutman and the other founding partners. And I pulled in Travis because he was the most creative and fantastic homebrewer that I've ever known in my years in the beer scene.
Craft beer is the most collaborative and friendly industry you could ever be a part of. Brewers are always helping each other out, willing to share, willing to help. In the opening process, we asked questions of everybody in town, and they were always willing to help us out. And we're trying to do the same for everyone else that's in planning right now.
Our flagships that we do all year, Alpha Pale, which is kind of a sessionable pale ale, but hopped like a strong IPA or double IPA. House Brew, which is a coffee wheat stout that we partner with Valmaes, the local coffee roaster, and use their cilantro toddy. And Monk & Honey is our version of a Belgio-American table beer. We launched with another beer called Guajillo, which is a Belgian quadruple with Guajillo chilies. Obviously a very kind of unexpected collision of flavors. That was a fun one for us to launch with because it showed right off the bat we wanted something different and kind of ambitious.
For me, designing a recipe starts with flavor, so I like to approach it from the end and work my way backwards. So I will try and figure out a flavor profile that I want. I love to cook, so it could be an ingredient I've used in cooking like Guajillo chilies or blood orange, or it could be our Monk & Honey, which came from an experience that I had drinking beer with monks in Belgium. So we start from a very abstract point and work it down and try and find something unique and creative in the actual recipe. We knew that we wanted to be a production brewery, and to survive as a production brewery, you have to, one, have firm footing in your local area, so we knew we wanted to focus on Kansas City first. We also have to be able to support the brewery, so we knew that we needed to have our sights set in the future on being somewhat regional.
And I think the key is thoughtful, careful growth. You know, we are sure from the start that we do want to grow and to be in places like St. Louis and Lawrence and Topeka down the road at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I grew up. It almost feels like it's not complete until I'm on tap at the bar that I grew up loving.
So it actually is something of a trend for people to be aging their beers in non-traditional barrels like that tequila barrel the guys over at Torn Label are using, and the beers are well worth seeking out. Really some interesting stuff. So now I'm going to put a dry rub on these Frenched racks of lamb. So in a recipe, when you see the word Frenched, it means that the bones, these rib bones, have been exposed by either you or the butcher. And the dry rub that I'm going to be applying is incredibly fragrant. It's cumin and coriander and ground ginger and salt, some garlic powder and cayenne. And I'm just adding in a couple teaspoons of brown sugar, and that's going to help the surface caramelize and obviously impart a really nice sweetness. So I'm just gonna mix all of this together and press it into the lamb. In my experience, people are intimidated by large pieces of meat. They're afraid that they won't be able to cook them properly. We're just going to be searing it in a pan and then just popping it into a hot oven, and that's it. Very, very easy. I'm just going to take these over to the stove and sear them. So these are nice and brown, and I am transferring them just to a lipped pan. I'm going to pop them in a 425-degree oven for about 12 minutes. And ta-da! Here is our lamb. You want to make sure that you don't overcook the lamb because then it'll just dry out, and one of the wonderful things about a dish like this is just that juiciness. So this has come out of the oven. I'm going to tent it with just a little bit of tin foil and allow it to rest for at least 10 minutes. And you always want meat to rest after you've cooked it, always. And this is our rice. It is also finished. See all that wonderful steam coming off of it. And the way that we're going to kind of complete this dish is add lime and cilantro. So I'm gonna zest this first and then juice it. This smells so good, and the combination of lime and coconut is classic Thai. I actually just got back from Thailand, oddly enough, and I gotta tell you, the food over there is incredible. So being able to recreate it back here at home, it's a lot of fun. Lime is such a wonderful citrus, and always juice your limes fresh. The last step in the rice is just to stir in about 1/3 cup of chopped cilantro. So the next place that we're visiting is located in Springfield, Missouri. And if you've ever heard of cashew chicken, it was invented in Springfield, which is something I did not realize until just a few months ago. And there is one family that is behind this phenomenon, this dish, and that is the Leongs. So let's head to Springfield and meet them now.
Well, one of his customers, loyal customers, says, I want to try a new dish. And my dad came back and he took the deboned chicken and he lightly breaded it, fried it, and then he made the Asian sauce, Asian oyster sauce, topped it on top of the chicken and added the cashew nuts and green onions. And next day he brought in about 10 or 15 of his friends and just took off after that. And we kind of tributed that time about 1963. And first we're going to make a batter here.
Now, did you grow up making this dish?
You know, I grew up and my dad, everyone else had plain blocks, squares, and triangles and things. I think when we grew up, we had chicken and flour. So I think my dad groomed us for cashew chicken. It's a flour technique to make it stand up. We have the chicken nuggets and now we're gonna take it to fry, okay? My dad was, thank God he was a farmer. He tried to make a better life for his family. Unfortunately, in 1940, World War II broke out. So my mom and my dad were separated for 10 years. And now I'm gonna make the sauce.
Okay.
And the fried rice is gonna go with this.
Okay. So you have a real balance of sweet and salty and then...
And savory, everything, a lot of Asian cooking. That yin and yang, you have that balance of sweet and salty. So that's what this is, finding the right balance of everything. So I'm going to reserve the sauce in the bowl.
Okay.
And then we're going to make a fried rice to go with the chicken. Pinch of salt. Little sesame. Strong white pepper. And it's done. My dad's enjoying his semi-retirement. He still comes in every day when he is here. He's 94. You know, he watches to make sure the lunch rush is going good. Then he'll go, I'm going fishing. So yeah, I think it keeps him young. You know. How hungry are you, Catherine?
I'm always hungry.
Okay. All right. Now we got the chicken. And you just pour the sauce on top. Okay.
You're not shy with the sauce, are you?
No, we'll reserve a little extra for people that like extra sauce. And then we top it off with a cashew nut.
There you have it.
And there we have it.
That's the original cashew chicken.
The original cashew chicken.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. My dad was traveling in Hong Kong and they saw a footboard, a sidewalk cafe board that says, "We feature Springfield style cashew chicken." And it's just amazing how far it's reached globally.
I think probably the most amazing part of that story is that they actually saw a sign for Springfield style cashew chicken in Hong Kong. That really tells you the power of fried chicken and brown sauce. It is delicious. So I am going to be making the red curry pan sauce now that's going to be drizzled on top of all that wonderful lamb. This is just a little bit of grapeseed oil. You can use any oil that you like, but grapeseed oil is very flavor neutral, so it works really well in this application. And then this is just a single garlic clove and a knob of ginger that have both been chopped up, and we're going to go ahead and saute these until they're nice and fragrant. So I am now going to be stirring in a can of coconut milk. It is so fragrant in here, I cannot tell you. This is gonna be amazing, I can't wait to eat this. So I've put in 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. This is just some red curry paste. easily found in grocery stores or international markets these days. Okay, so now we're gonna put in a couple teaspoons of brown sugar and the juice of 1 lime. That's one of the things that really, to me, distinguishes Asian food. You really find that it has sweet and salty and bitter and sour, and so each bite is really interesting. The last ingredient is just a little bit of lemongrass. You can get lemongrass fresh in some markets, but it is tough to find. This is lemongrass that's just been pickled a little bit, and this is easily found in markets as well. So once you get all of your ingredients nicely combined, you're just gonna let it simmer and reduce until it gets to a nice thick consistency. So keep your eye on it. And while I finish this up, I want to take you over to Niche in Clayton, Missouri, and introduce you to the team behind this new regional focus that they have at the restaurant. Gerard Craft is making it so that his team can only use ingredients that are sourced within roughly 300 miles of the restaurant. It's very innovative, so let's go see what they're up to now.
So the commitment to regionalism is very important to us as a restaurant, especially to me. I've kind of come up throughout the ranks of this restaurant and kind of watch it evolve. And Niche is kind of an idea that's kind of continually evolving. And we think about all the awesome products we get here from farmers in Missouri and part of Illinois. And we really just want to let that stuff shine. So you start to develop these relationships with farmers and the land and the city that we work with. And it kind of just becomes more important.
So I'd like the diners to take something special away from dining at Niche. And I want them to have an experience that is so Missouri that they know that they're getting something that they can't have anywhere else.
Some of the feedback we get from guests is all over the place. You know, if you just kind of put this food in front of them and you don't really talk about the story or what we're trying to do, they're going to kind of be like, well, we're at, a 4-star restaurant, so where's the lobster, where's the foie gras, where are the truffles? We can get any of that stuff whenever we want, later today if we wanted to. But the thing is, it's super important is we're trying to express our regionalism and our terroir, and in doing so, we can't use those ingredients. So once we start talking to guests and start telling them our story about how we're making our own cheese, how we're making our own miso, and doing things like that, really to go above and beyond to give us the control that we want so we can make them happy, it really kind of opens up a bunch of doors in their eyes, and they start to get really excited.
Diners are reacting really nicely, actually. Most people are pretty into it, and they're willing to sort of go there with us and sort of take this adventure. But when I'm using things like miso ice cream and I'm using beets in a dessert form, there's definitely some eyebrows raised, but they seem to find it kind of cool, and especially when they find out that it really does taste good.
So we're in the fermentation lab at Niche Restaurant, where I keep all the projects that are ongoing. We have our Missouri miso projects going down here. All the production vinegars that we make are going down here. Black garlic, fish sauce, soy sauce, all stuff that stems from Missouri ingredients. The understanding that I bring to food now is much deeper because of what I have learned about what these ingredients are. That really makes our food stronger, I think, knowing that we really know what the process is behind everything that goes on the plate. That helps the narrative of what we're doing, you know what I mean? Helps us tell the story.
I think this opens up a bigger conversation of what don't we have here and why don't we have it? Why is nobody farming snails in Missouri? What's going on with our fish production, fish farming? Can that be increased? And what channels are we going through to make our rivers better? How are we taking it to another level? And I think with that need starts the conversation. Our team's had a tough time with it, no doubt. It's been a huge challenge, but when I polled it at one point, when I polled our kitchen to say, how do you guys really feel about what we're doing? How do you feel about these limitations? Is it important to you? And unanimously, everybody emailed me back saying, this is what keeps us pushing every day.
My initial reaction with the restrictions was a little bit of shock. Luckily, a lot of them have sort of come slowly but surely, and we've gotten into, first it was no chocolate, and we've just slowly been taking things away, so it kind of makes it a little bit easier, but it has pushed me tremendously in what I do. I feel like I'm a much better pastry chef for having to live within these small parameters, but still make things that people desire to eat.
Basically, it's just a constant evolution of creativity, conversation, and dishes. And just kind of, the more we do this, the more we kind of understand our style of food. I think it's super important that the guests, when they dine here, kind of take away a sense of time and place, 100%. This food, this style of regionalist cuisine is all about kind of understanding our region, obviously. So you want to understand what it's really like to eat here in Missouri and what the earth provides us with and the land. So if I was a guest coming and eating, I would really want to be like, wow, like this tastes like what it means to like live here right now.
So all of the elements of our Thai style lamb are finished. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the dish on this gorgeous platter. First thing I'm gonna do is mound some of our coconut rice just here in the center. All right, so we've got our rice. Now I'm gonna take one of our racks here. Oh, it looks gorgeous, gorgeous. So we're just gonna slide the knife through. You just arrange the lamb on top of your rice so everybody can just grab one of those wonderful chops. Now we're going to serve this with just some lime wedges and some fresh cilantro, and of course I'm going to drizzle that curry right on top. I'm just going to serve myself some of this. I am very excited. The lamb is cooked perfectly. You want it to have that nice rosy hue, so it's nice and tender. Just a little bit of rice alongside. It's got that gaminess of the lamb, that spice from the red curry, and then just that wonderful sweetness from the coconut. It's a very complex dish, and you might think that it's going to be tough to pair a wine with it. However, rosés are perfect, and very often you'll find that Asian food is paired with white wines, but rosé really helps to bridge the flavor profile of this really robust lamb with more of the Asian spicing. And this is a rosé with 70% St. Vincent and 30% Chambourcin from the Augusta winery in the Augusta region of Missouri. And it is a dry, very floral rosé that is going to complement the spicy, sweet, tart flavors in this dish perfectly. So thank you for joining me in this episode, and I'll see you next time.